Commissioner meeting is called to order. At this time, we like to stand for our invocations. And Commissioner Hadley will give us a prayer.
Before we have our prayer, we just want to mention today that one of our own, Ms. Doris Stratland, has lost her son to leukemia. We certainly want to remember her family. It's really been a short battle. I know it's been a lot of long days for them, but when you think about it, this started late summer. And if you just please keep Doris and Gary and all their family in your prayers. Let us pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day that you've given us. Dear Lord, we thank you that we have the opportunity to come together and talk about this county, talk about the business, and try to make the decisions that are in the very best interest of those who live here. And dear Lord, today we just come lifting up Doris and Gary and their family. Lord, their hearts are broken. Our hearts are broken for them. And we just pray for peace that will just pass all understanding in the days to come. Be with us as we go through the meeting. Guide our hearts, our minds, our words, that what we'll say and do will give glory to you and take care of this wonderful county in which we live. And we pray these things in your name. Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the agenda as presented. Is there any changes?
The only thing we probably need to add is Commissioner Bray and I talked about some renovations at the ball field down at Greenville, so we probably need to talk about that. Add that as a short item if we could.
This is under new business.
It'll be under new business, yes.
So, new business number 6. Can I get a motion that we adopt the agenda with the additional edit on about the ballpark? That's the item under new business number 6.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All in favor? Thank you. Okay, you have in front of you the minutes from the January 22nd work session that was held at 4:30 and the January regular meeting at 6 o'clock. Has everyone had a chance to read over it? Is there any corrections, any comment? If not, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the work session. Do we have to do separate? We don't have to do the work session at all.
Well, you do both.
Just do those two different sets.
2 cents, all right. We'll adopt the minutes from the work session. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Sorry. There's been a motion and a second. All in favor? And for the regular meeting that was held on the 22nd, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the minutes as presented.
Second.
And there's a second. All in favor? Thank you. At this time, we'd like to go to the municipal comments. So at this time, I want to recognize Mayor Glover.
Good morning, I'm happy to make a motion.
Doug from Manchester. It's been a while since I've seen you.
I wanted to announce that our splash pad construction is underway. It's on target to open up around Memorial Day. No fees connected to it for admission or sorry.
Thank you for sharing that. Any other municipality here? I don't want to overlook anyone. Okay. At this
Madam Chairman, I would like to make you all aware that we did the final closing on our wastewater plant loan last Thursday.
Wonderful.
So the plant itself is not ready for that beautiful close.
Thanks for sharing that. Okay, at this time, we're moving forward to our Constitution officers and comments.
Mr. Chairman, could I call on Gene and David right quick to introduce, as part of their comments, I want to introduce some, recognize some employees, if we could.
Isn't that on the department head comments?
Yes, ma'am.
If that's next, or you want to do it before
The
that?
sheriff's here.
Oh,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry, I didn't
I
see
was
the
ahead of
sheriff. I'm sorry, I didn't see the sheriff. Sorry about that.
I'm sorry, I was down to department heads.
Yeah, we're moving fast, but not that
Crazy,
fast.
huh?
I know.
I understand there, my brain works the same way.
Getting back to our Constitution officer, Sheriff.
South County Lodge.
Yeah.
Tyler, just how many trees your folks saw this guy?
There was approximately 7.
I know there was too many for us to keep the number on, but that little wind burst yesterday caused us to get out here with our chainsaw, so we got all the roads clear so far. So, we got to tie it
Quite a
up.
burst.
I don't know if there's any problem out there or not, but, we saw the trees yesterday. So, we got all the roads clear, that's all I got to report. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Okay, now we can move on to our department heads and comments. So we're gonna pass.
They're
this
short
over.
staffed, so I was trying to get them out and back to work.
I know they gotta get back to work too. All right, so at this time, Mr. Gay, do you mind going ahead and taking
Okay.
that?
Pete and David, y'all come up, okay, and introduce quite an achievement from one of the staff members here.
We're missing one, but this is Andrea Cox, and she has now become certified to be an appraiser, and we're very excited about her. She's caught on and learned an awful lot in the last, 3 months, 4 months?
6 months.
Oh, you've been here a long time?
August 20th.
Well, a long time. Anyway, Angie Beckham is away because of sickness, but they came to work almost the same time. They both become certified, and now we have a lot of work to do.
Well, they did, they were very proud. They had went to school and they both went and took their test and passed their appraiser 1 test on first time out. And they were very excited about it. We were very excited about it for them.
We're gonna go back to work then.
I knew y'all were short staffed, that's why we
Short
mentioned
today.
it.
Thank you. And
And one other thing I'd like to do is call Kathy Johnson forward if we could for just a moment. They really were short staffed. They only had 1 person in the office. I think all of you guys know Kathy. If you've had any dealings with the tax office or whatever, certainly she's always a tremendous help. I've always been impressed with her, organization skills and her drive. And we have recently interviewed for the direction of building and zoning and planning director. And after a lot of interviews, we had a lot of good candidates. And some of them had experience. But what we were really looking at was somebody with a lot of drive. And I've always said you can teach someone the job, but it's hard to teach, drive. And if you got it, you got it. And Kathy certainly has it. So we, at the end of the day, we have placed Kathy as the director for the planning zoning department. And she's going to do a phenomenal job. And we're looking forward to working with her. We got some other people that will come in with some more experience and can help her get acclimated to everything. And I really think with her spirit and her energy, we're going to transform that office. There's a lot of stuff we need to do in terms of getting it rolling. And we believe Kathy's the person to do that. So
I look forward to working with each and every one of you and working for the people of Meriwether County.
And I want to tell you, if you need help with anything, I'm extremely busy, but let me know and I'll come and help you if I can.
Thank you. I
So
appreciate
don't
it.
worry about reaching out to us.
I'm strong with the resources and the network, so don't be surprised. Thank you so much. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
I too need to slip out.
Thank you so much.
Hey, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I was trying to get that out. And I apologize to the sheriff, but
I just want to make a brief comment. It is always good when you can promote within, when you recognize the talent that you have within your county. And so once again, it's always a great opportunity when we can promote within our own county and let people know there's opportunity and growth for Meriwether County. So thank you for that as well. At this time, continuing on with our department heads, don't everybody jump at the same time. I'll start calling you out. Mr. Terrell.
I just want to thank the sheriff office for assisting us work on the trees yesterday. We had 7 that we actually cut up ourselves, but the sheriff office they was out there hand in hand with us. I definitely appreciate it.
Anything else?
No.
You sure?
Wow.
All right, well, in that case, I don't know if it's appropriate, but I do want to make a comment about the meeting that that he had regarding the restructuring of the public works. Mr. Gebb, will you elaborate on that?
Yes, ma'am.
Everybody wasn't there.
Yeah, we're still working on that, and we'll bring that back to the board. But what we're trying to do is to come up with kind of a work plan and kind of a restructuring of public works. It's pretty obvious they're going to need some more assistance and also some more equipment to get things done long term. And we're still working on that. We're trying to come up with some ways to improve the roads. The dirt roads, for example, have been graded a lot, and they get, as Bill Coughlin said, that the banks get higher, the roads get lower, and it kind of flattens out, and when the ditch line goes away, it starts running down the road. So we're going to come back to you guys. Probably my goal would be your next work session and talk about this in more detail and see what we can do in presentation. And Tyrell and Bill have been working on it, and they've got a lot of good ideas, and we want to put those together in a package and talk to the board about it. So it was a good meeting, good first meeting. We're going to have to go and talk about more, but we talked about organization, how to maybe acquire some more assistance. We talked again about the prisoner program and just a variety of things. And we also talked about methods and how we can do certain things. We talked about dedicated crews where that's all they can do, like a dedicated crew to scrape the roads. They wouldn't get pulled off for pothole patching or cleaning out or whatever. And we'd have a special project crew that would go and do things like that. So we're going to put that all down in writing and present that back to you guys, and hopefully we'll have that by your next work session.
And do we know when is our next work session?
Should be March.
Yeah. And what's
Last week.
March? Okay. One of my concerns is that since we are so short-staffed, and it's going to be crucial that we build our staffing, and spring will be here before we realize it, I'm just concerned that we are in a position to hire or start hiring people as soon as possible. It's a very competitive field right now. As I stated in our last meeting, GDOT's got big old signs saying they're hiring. So
I've never seen that before.
that was the first, and it wasn't just in Marietta County, they had it throughout the state. So one of my concerns is, I don't want us to push this further down. If we can start at least submitting, letting know that we are going to be hiring so that we can have some people, because if we keep waiting, then the spring will be here, we will not have the appropriate amount of people to work, whether they're seasonal or whatever the case may be. But I would like for us to look at that as a whole.
We could probably do the personnel aspect of it, maybe even at your next meeting, if y'all want us to talk about the personnel aspect of it. And then we also have some equipment you guys approved. We need to start getting that rolling as well. What we have. Terrell does have, I think you have some part-time positions on the book, and so we could start looking at that. You get generally get a better applicant if, sometimes if you get a full-time job, because a lot of people are looking for that. But, I think he's been pretty successful using part-time.
Some people just need a part-time job.
Some just need a part-time job, so, we could certainly start, taking a look at that.
And my main concern, and I'm not speaking for the entire board, but my main concern is that we have the proper staff in order to do the work that needs to be done. We have a lot of work to do, and you can't get it done if you don't have the manpower to do it. I know we've got a lot of issues with equipment as well, but if you don't have the manpower to operate the equipment, you're still not in a good point. So as soon as we can address that at our next meeting, I would appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, the next department. Thank you.
I just want to say that we've done our second annual pancake breakfast at Carolina Cafe, February 3rd on Sundays. We had a total of 90 people show up to eat pancakes. Commissioner Hines was there. She helped serve some coffee and a couple plates of pancakes and stuff. It was a great help. I appreciate all the help. I appreciate everybody that came out to support us. Again, the shelter is always open for people to come look at it, come check out what we're doing. We're always doing something different. And you never know, you may find your perfect you can take with you, but they have lots of good ones.
Thank you. I don't know how much my skills of waiting on table in my college days helped out, but it was a lot of fun.
I'm glad you're commissioner and not an actual waiter.
Well, I didn't get any tips, so apparently there's some truth in there.
There's your first tip right there.
All in fun, all in fun. The next department head, Skip.
None this time, sure.
All right. Chief.
Got mine real quick. I think y'all are all aware, on the 23rd of last month, we have slight embarrassment to the department, and I apologize to you guys for the issue that we brought to the board at Chief County. We had a slight mishap with the truck. The grace of God was with us, because that situation could have been a lot worse. I did want to report, though, that the truck, the estimates are in, there's about $6,000 worth of damage. It'll be a bumper and a radiator, and we'll get that fixed. It was our fault. It was my fault. Our driver admitted that. There was no two ways about it. We're straightforward with the state patrol. There was no citation involved. We repaired it. We had to put a mailbox back up, and we have a new nickname for the driver, which is Dogwood, because a little bitty Dogwood did what it did to that bumper, and it was really amazing that thing was there. So he will be forevermore called Dogwood. So I don't know how, if that's good or bad, but $6,000 should rectify this. Small delay in getting this thing fixed, and it'll be back in service. I do want you guys to know that we have been, it's been a great concern about driver safety. We are actively and aggressively managing that. We have purchased equipment and training materials. We have 3 separate drivers training programs going as we speak. SEVO, EVOC, and BFIS, and some of those they're redundant in their content, but it's an effort to make a statement, and that was the plan from all along. I want to also say that, we're doing training now every day from 1 to, I think, 3 or 4 o'clock. I think it's 3 hours. Primarily right now on training, and that's been the focus for, driver's training for some time. We'll shift that into some other aspects that are prioritized, but I just wanted you guys to know that we are progressive in pursuing this issue and trying to be as safe as we can to protect the county and the people not just ourselves, but the people on the streets. Real fast, I wanted to say something about the new force that we have in place. There are probably several instances I could cite, but not to belabor this, to move on as quick as possible. Sunday morning on the 10th, we had a structure fire at 3983 Roosevelt Highway, and I just wanted to kind of point out the success story in this one instance. It is a modular home. We got a call to respond. We were in the station, staffed. We were on scene in 6 minutes. From the front of the house, you can see some smoke damage coming out the front door, but that's about all you can see. Now inside, there's some heat and smoke damage. But this is a great example of what we used to go around when we were doing the fire district tax meetings and making promises about what we could do. This is a good example of what we can do. We kept a small fire small, and this is not something that has consumed the entire building. There's the high potential to rebuild this thing, but even if they don't, they have the ability to get their documents and sentimental values out of there that they couldn't have otherwise. Also, again, real fast, forestry, we received a forestry grant. We applied for a 50/50 reimbursement grant totaling $86,009.52 for hose, which is, 50/50 reimbursement. We'll get $4,300, a little over $4,300 for that. We'll try to have that handled within the next couple of months as far as the ordering, the delay as far as the business receiving that. So that's a perk for us as far as getting, we applied for hose, a tack line hose, and we're going to have that done in a couple of months. That's a nice jump forward. So, also on the SAFER grant, we are about through. As you know, the deadline, I believe, is the 18th. Well, I know for sure the 18th. we will be filing our final roster with E-Grants and moving forward. Currently, we have the roster filled except for 2 positions. Now, one of those positions is being, I think today, doing a drug screen and physical. As soon as we get the results of that, we'll move forward with that position. We have another person that we are pursuing, and hopefully we'll have this. To be quite honest with you, there may be a delay and of about a week or 2 for them to give a notice and to come, and then we'll be full. We were full, to be honest with you, and then we had a couple of people change their mind after we hired and put equipment on them, and they decided to go elsewhere. So, which, you know, I think with the force that we put together in the last 4 or 5 months, 23 people, there are 1 or 2 people that have done that, I guess, is not unreasonable when you look at it, you know, on a percentage basis. So, we feel like that's a great success story. There was a lot of concern with being able to assemble the force that we have for the pay that we're giving, and we're really excited about that. As I said, I think previously, about half is already certified. We're past the hump as far as getting them trained and certified. They came in the door certified with experience, and so we have a head start on that by a long shot. So we're really, I think, ahead of the game with that. So I am.
Thank you so much.
Any questions?
I have a question. I know you said the deadline is the 18th. What day will we actually be submitting this information? Because, I mean, this is a huge grant, and we don't want to take any chances.
Well, let me say deadline. The period of performance starts on 18th. And so what we have to do is submit a roster before then, and I would have already done it if it weren't for this thing coming tomorrow. Now, what I'm going to probably do is with the results coming tomorrow, I'll probably submit it with 1 person vacant. And then I'll probably have to update that roster and E-Grants after we get this next person that we're pursuing updated. So there'll probably be a week or 2 into this period of performance that we're not being reimbursed for that 1 position. So the deadline is the 18th as far as the starting of the period of performance. That's coming, you know, regardless. The only thing we have to do is submit to SAFER or FEMA the roster and E-Grants. And I'm kind of waiting on this 1 thing tomorrow, and we'll have that done, we'll have it updated, and then...
So you'll go ahead and get that in? Then.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have an extended offer to anybody for that position?
Have
you extended an offer for that?
Pending the results of the drug screen and physical tomorrow.
And then you said 1 more after that?
1 more we're pursuing, and we have a resume, there's a strong candidate, but they actually haven't filled out an application, so hopefully that'll be in my email this morning when I get to it, and we'll process that as fast as possible. And also, I guess at this opportunity, I ought to really say thank you to the administrative officers here. There have been some recent changes in how we do that, which has really helped us, because, you know, the former methods were taking 3 or 4 weeks or more to get drug screens and physicals processed, and they have come with a new avenue for us to pursue that for. It takes, I think, guaranteed 3 days, and most often 1-day results. So it's a relief on us, because we were concerned about these last-minute changes. And we had 1 firefighter turn in a notice, I think it was early last week. So it's kind of hard to rebound from that kind of last-minute change.
The reason I asked about extending an offer, if you get that email today for the person you're thinking, go ahead and make an offer, whether they do anything or not, and then put that in the grant that there has been an extension, or that you have extended an offer to that person, and that covers that position tentatively.
Absolutely. And I'm really hoping that by the end of the pay period, maybe we can get them in, and by the end of the pay period, we can maybe get them in enough shifts to where, you know,
During the grant period, because it's going to be about 3 years, you're going to have people that's going to come and go.
That's right.
And so that's going to be part of it, but you know, as y'all have discussed, the key is just getting that back to them.
right, as quickly as possible. And we're gonna be diligent about keeping alternates kind of on the table. We have several people now that if we need to, we can go to, and we'll have to keep that fresh. And then after this start, basically all we'll have to do is file the quarterly paperwork to get reimbursed. And
First one we do back on 15.
So the one on the 18th, the 18th is a holiday, which is Monday. So officially, that's a federal holiday. So that means, even though it's due on that date, you're going to submit it.
I'm going to submit it tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
I'm
okay.
really hoping I'm assuming optimistically that the results are going to come back good tomorrow.
Okay.
This person we're pursuing that's going for this test today, is already a certified firefighter with Trip County, absolutely, they want to come here. So, I know that, in other words, in the state of Georgia, you can't be a firefighter or EMS personnel with a background issue, so they're currently employed, that's a good indication. We're still doing our due diligence, we're gonna get that handled, and as soon as we get that confirmation, we'll proceed.
Thank you for the update, appreciate it. Very well needed, thank you so much. All right, next department head, I see you back there.
I don't have
You don't have anything? Let's talk about Grant.
Yesterday, we had some weather come through the county, and I had a call yesterday about, hey, I didn't get an alert on it. From me. Yeah, Commissioner Threadgill did call me about it yesterday, and I did some investigating with National Weather Service on that. We actually did not even have a watch yesterday. They said that we did have some activity pop up at this time of year. It's very common for us to have pop-up conditions like we did. And this particular forecaster I was talking to is actually the one who was on the radar, and he says by the time he got the polygon drawn and ready to send out, it was gone. So there was no sense in putting out a warning that's no longer there. You know, in my opinion, I think they could have done a little better on that, because there was conditions, like Commissioner Threadgill said, he was tracking it on WeatherBug coming through. You know, our policy is when in doubt, send it out. You know, I mean, it doesn't hurt anything to put out a thunderstorm warning, you know, because, you know, in his words, I didn't see it, he did. He said it looked just like 2011, you know, before we got hit. So, I did want to report on that we did have some conditions that were serious enough to ignite a warning, but by the time they got everything ready to put out, it was gone. But I do think they could have had some more foresight. And just to explain to you how our early warning system works with Code Red is, if there's no warning that's issued by the National Weather Service, there's nothing to put out. Now, if you see something or know something, I can put something out manually, you know. But what comes from Code Red is automatic, just like any of the other ones. Nixle, Rapid SOS, all these early warning systems. And how Code Red works is actually for the area of that. We're in a county of 503 square miles, so if something pops up in Manchester, but you got sunshine in Luthersville, it's not going to put it out for the whole county. It's going to put it out for those people that are affected in that polygon and those surrounding areas around that. So if you're not part of that warning, then no, that you won't get a warning on it, because like I said, you know, you may have sunshine, and you know, and that was one of the comments made too, is, you know, we get all these alerts about, you know, sprinkles here and there. Now a lot of that just comes from us when we're putting out stuff about the county.
I'm talking about the phone calls that come, and that's what got me is sometimes you just look out, it's a drizzle, but you're getting a Code Red alert. And then yesterday I had extremely heavy fluting robbers, and it took them clear across my front porch, and there was nothing.
The alerts you're
So
getting,
you tell the National Weather that when a WeatherBug application is better than them, say it.
the alerts that you're getting are conditions that exist, or it doesn't, you know, predicting the weather's like. So, anybody have any questions?
I got some kind of alert yesterday. It said something about Terrell Road.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
They sent that out.
Is that something you, was that
Yeah, we
about
sent
street?
that out.
That was something you sent.
and it was, I think it was Woodbury Highway.
Okay.
We had a tree down across, it was blocking it, and it took several hours to get that back open because it was entangled, and it turned out to be phone lines, but still just the same. They're not gonna mess with it until they get those wires out of it. So, yeah, it was closed for several hours yesterday.
I was actually on the road in Harris County when that happened, and I went into the school, and I don't know what they had to monitor, but they said it was 60-mile-an-hour winds, because, I mean, they wouldn't let us leave.
Yeah, they had some straight line winds.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. They had several. We had some on the west side of the county, and then we also had some on the south end as well. But actually, the winds on the south end were more than,
More severe.
yeah.
And that's true, because like you said, on my end of the county, there was nothing, absolutely nothing.
We were without power until almost 10 last night.
Right, and that's saying, but on the northern end, there was nothing, and coming into Greenville, I saw all the debris and everything, I'm like, where did this happen? So once again, Are you familiar with Click It and Fix It?
Yep.
I understand a lot of counties are going to that.
Mentioned that too.
Yes, you mentioned it to me. Well, thank you. Well, I'm mentioning it back to you. And I would like for us to look into that. There's a new system called Click It and Fix It. It's an app that people can download on their phones. And so when they see something debris or pothole or whatever, they can then take a picture of it or send information. And a lot of counties and cities are taking advantage of this new application. And we too may want to look into it because as big as our county is, we may not can see everything or be there. And this allows the citizens to also be an active role in bringing things to our attention. So if you don't mind bringing us some more information, Mr. Gay, do you mind if that's brought to our attention so we can see how it works? I talked to a commissioner down in Chatham County, and they said it's been very helpful for them. It's reduced their phone calls and allows them to see what area of their county that has the most problems, be it roads or debris, or in real time, exactly when it happens. So.
Yeah, that would be something that would replace iWorks, if we found it beneficial, but it does, it's much more robust. A lot of your cities in Metro Atlanta have adopted it as well. So it's
We'll see how beneficial it could be. I mean, once again, what I'm hearing, it's very like, right then you know what's going on, and citizens can be much engaged as well. Thank you.
all right.
Anything else? Any other questions or comments? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Any other department head have overmissed anybody? I see our 4-H and Ms. Jenner. Ms. Ashley?
We have been very busy in Meriwether County Extension, not just in 4-H, but Ryan, our ag agent, he's actually in Athens right now getting trained more. So we're thankful to have Ryan. And Ryan's been working on our farm day at the Extension office. So all first graders in the county will come over to our office for farm day. It's on March the 19th. Mark your calendars. If you have a minute, just come by. We'll start around 8:30 that morning and we'll go until the last first grader leaves. So hopefully y'all can come by on March the 19th. In 4-H, we've been extremely busy. This past weekend, I took 4-Hers, it was 4th, 5th, and 6th graders over to Newton County to a public speaking contest. You know, I think I said this in our last meeting. Public speaking is every adult's fear. Well, you can imagine how it is to a 4th, 5th, or 6th grader. But those young 4-Hers did a wonderful job. Almost all of them placed, but Meriwether County received a plaque for having the highest percentage of increase in participation. So I was very proud of all of those 4-Hers that took part in it. We have started camp sign up. Gosh, I think we have over 10. We've only been signing up for a week now, so that was great. Our onion sales have started, so I'll make sure that I'll get Beverly a sign-up sheet for this building. But if you like Vidalia onions, we will be selling Vidalia onions and tomato plants. So we will have our tomato plant sale again this year. But everything's going well. Oh, I am in the 2019 Leadership Meriwether class. So we had our first meeting this past Friday. Unfortunately, I will not be at the March meeting, and that is when we come and do our county. So Darren, you and I will get together so that I can graduate. So I was instructed that I have to make that up, which is perfectly good. But everything is good in the extension world. But if you need anything, please let us know.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Ms. Jane?
Just quickly, I'll speak on behalf of Keep Maryland Beautiful. The organization received the President's Award for Keep America Beautiful for the 3rd time in 4 years. So we're very proud of that. Our next cleanup is Saturday, April the 27th. So I'll put that on your calendar. We're looking for people to clean it up. And then last February 28th, we're having a litter law enforcement workshop. We'll be here in this room from 1 to 5. And DNR Corporal Scott Carroll will be presenting the program, and we are doing this compliment, so Keep Georgia Beautiful, the EXA grant. So, hope to see all of you at everything.
Is that everyone? Did we miss anyone? Skip, did we hear from you? You said you were okay. Okay, all right. Appreciate that. Thank you for keeping us informed. There's a lot going on in Meriwether County. All right, moving on to public hearing. I'd like to make a motion that we go into public hearing.
I'll second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor? Okay, Mr. Gay?
Yes, ma'am. And we have with us this morning, I've suggested Mr. Sean Lynn. And you guys are all familiar with Warm Springs Winery business, family business. And Mr. Lynn is looking to purchase Warm Springs Winery. You correct me if I get anything wrong, okay? So he's looking to purchase Warm Springs Winery. And he's going to be moving it down to the farm, and where you guys have your fruit and vegetables.
We're going to keep it where it is for now.
Yes, yes.
We're also going to open in the future, in the short future, a place at the farm, so we'll have 2 locations.
Good, okay. And I knew that they were going to remain where they were, and you were working on completing the other facility before you deal with that. Anyway, he is now leased or acquired this from Warm Springs Winery, and we actually need to change the license rep on that over to Mr. Lennon, and of course all the background checks and everything would come in clean, no problems at all, and we would recommend that he be named as the license rep.
What is this on the wine tasting room? Is that part of that?
Yes, ma'am.
There's already currently one.
So there's currently one in the
Currently one
existing
in the
business.
existing.
So all we're doing is changing the name.
All you're doing is changing the name over to Mr. Lennon, and I think when you get ready for the facility at the farm, we'll come back and make any adjustments if necessary there. Yeah, we didn't talk about
So when you get it at the farm, you come and eat and drink.
Of course.
We'll discuss that.
Gotta pay for this license somehow, don't you?
We can trade it out.
Yeah, but it'll be great, it will. So we do recommend.
So, I mean, just to kind of give you, the Warm Springs Winery is what it is. It's been there for 8 years or so now. It's just been a very great business for Warm Springs. It's amazing the amount of new people that actually come there. They do have a group of return customers, but a huge percentage are new people just dropping in, which blows my mind on where it is right now.
Really? All the construction.
And we plan on keeping a presence in Warm Springs, and also moving the location to the farm to our existing retail business. And we're just starting, hopefully we'll start construction this week on creating a tasting room and having our farm market, and there'll be 2 totally distinct things, so you won't even know that 2 different things that people won't commingle or anything like that. So we hope to have a great experience out of the farm that's not offered in any of the other peach farms in the state, so it'll be unique to the area.
So we have our own Meriwether peach wine too.
We do, and actually Ed, who owns the winery, has been buying my peaches for years to make his wine, and also our strawberries. So we're going to be adding new flavors of wine over the years, all stuff we grow at the farm, and hopefully it'll be a great thing.
Yeah. Warm Springs Winery naturally is in my district, and it is such an asset to Warm Springs. We don't want you to leave completely.
We're not leaving Warm Springs.
But it is amazing with construction like it is. It is difficult to get there at best now, and we still probably got another year to go, don't we, on the project or whatever, but thank you so much. You do such a good job of what you do in Woodbury, and it would certainly be a continued asset for Warm Springs.
So we'll probably be in touch, looking for help to find a good location for Warm Springs to move it to when we move it out of Ed's property. So, there you go.
We'd love to have you just right downtown.
Well, that's where we're looking.
We'll be working on that.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We need to ask to see if there's anyone else speaking for.
Do we have anyone else that would like to speak for it? And also is anyone that would like to speak against it? So there's a sign-in sheet.
So far, it's just Mr. Lennon.
So far, just Mr. Lennon. Anyone else? At this time, no other comments, okay. At this time, we'd like to go out of public hearing. And is there a second? Second. There's been a motion to go out and a second. All in favor? Okay, at this time, we're supposed to make a vote. All right. Okay, I'd like to get a motion that we accept the request from Sean Lennon for a domestic winery and winery farm and winery tasting room in Warm Springs Winery LLC, and to convert this over to Mr. Lennon.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Thank you so much for extending your business here in Meriwether County. All right, moving forward to our unfinished business. The first item is appointment to the Water and Sewer Authority for District 3, which expired on 12/31/18, and that is...
That's fine. Madam Chair, Kenneth Murphy has agreed to stay on that board, and I am going to resubmit his name.
Who?
Kenneth Murphy.
Oh, Kenneth.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to continue to have Mr. Kenneth Murphy on the Water Sewer Authority Board representing District 3. All in favor? Anyone opposed? The motion carries. Okay, the next item is appointment to the Planning Commission, District 1, term expired 1/5/2019. That is my district, and Mayor Ruth Nash is currently on that board. She has expressed an interest to continue to stay on the board, so we're going to go ahead and accommodate that. So I'd like a motion to continue with Mayor Ruth Nash on the Planning Commission.
So moved.
Second. Okay, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor? Is anyone opposed? Motion carries. The next item is appointment to the Board of Assessors, term expired 12/31/18.
Madam Chair, I would like to appoint Debbie Nelson. You have her resume in front of you. She's a resident of Meriwether County, and she's retired, so she would be available for training that's necessary.
Have a motion to accept Debbie Nelson and the Board of Assessors. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Just before we go, I'd like to report a discussion. I also would like to submit a name for the Board of Assessors. He's called me and asked me if he could be considered, and that would be Emmett Collins of Woodbury, for the position of Board of Assessors.
Okay, Mr. Collins?
Yes.
All right. I'm not sure on this one. So we, okay, is there a second for the appointment for Mr. Collins?
Let me ask, this is, I know part of it, Frank, but she lives here.
Yes, one of Lucasville and one of them just had a grant address.
Yeah, I have a Brentwood address, so if you're in that section, I have a Brentwood address. Do we have, Mr. Collins, did you present any information, resume or anything?
I did not bring a resume
Oh,
for him.
sorry.
My social is pretty well known.
I'll second for him.
So there's been a motion and a second for the nomination of Mr. Emmett Collins. Collins, I'm sorry. Is there any other discussion on this appointment? So, at this time, we vote on which one?
Two motions.
Okay.
Can we have two motions at the same time? Don't we have to finish one before we do the
I thought
other?
so too.
When you got another nominee, though.
But you have to just vote on the nominees. Is that correct, sir?
Well, I agree with what Beverly said. When there's a motion made and there's a second, you have to vote on that motion before you can go on to an additional motion.
Okay. So I need to go back and address the first motion that was on the correct. All right. So on the first motion, it was nominating Ms. Debbie Nelson to serve on the Board of Assessor, and there was a motion and a second. At this time, we'd like to ask for a vote. Is that correct? All right.
The motion was made by Commissioner Mary Bray, and was seconded by Vice Chairman Beth Haley Halley for Debbie Nelson.
That's correct. So at this time, I'd like to call for a vote to appoint Ms. Debbie Nelson to the Board of Assessors. All those in favor, raise your hand. Does anyone oppose?
Actually, 3-2.
Oh, 3-2.
So essentially, the motion that I made now has failed. We don't even need to bring it back up.
It should have just come up in the discussion of the first motion, really.
Yeah.
As an additional person.
Okay, sorry. So the motion carries for Debbie Nelson. Am I correct?
Correct.
I apologize if I didn't do the procedure correctly. The next item is the appointment for the Zoning Board of Appeal. Does anyone have any recommendations for that board? I don't have anyone at this time. I have someone I would like to talk to. Can we go ahead and table that then?
So moved.
Okay, so there's been a motion to table and second. Is there any other discussion on this? Okay, we'd like to make a vote to table this. Call for vote, all in favor? Anyone opposed? Okay, it has been tabled, motion carries. Okay, the next item is the appointment to the Recreation Advisory Board to fill the unexpired term of Dr. Lear. And I think this is Commissioner Hadley.
It is my district. And I do have someone to nominate. Let me just preface it by saying that I've talked to quite a few people, and I haven't been to the rec meetings, but I know they meet, I think, at 4:30 on Wednesday. And I just want to say the time is an issue with a lot of people. I think we may be missing some people that would be good on it as far as the times. It may be something to consider. But I do have a very good candidate, and his name is Doug Maddox. He lives in Warm Springs. He's been a school teacher for 23 years, 13 years of that has been at Mountain View Elementary. He started coaching with the rec department in 1996, has coached soccer, baseball, and softball all through the rec department. He's coached soccer starting when it began in 2000, has continued all the way, this will be his 19th year there. He has children within the school system and also within the rec program, and he's also played himself with any rec teams that are through for adults, whatever. So I'd like to recommend Doug Maddox for the rec board.
Okay, so there's been a motion and a second to recommend Doug. I'm sorry, the last name is
Maddox.
Maddox.
And I have information, I'll send it to you. I'll go ahead and send it now.
Is there any discussion?
I would just like to say at the last recreation meeting, the board agreed to change that time.
Okay.
So that time will become 5:30.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
And for him, it works because he's a school teacher, but that might be something to do, but thank you.
Commissioner Gray, did they also decide to change the day to a Thursday?
On Thursday, yes. On a Wednesday.
Okay.
Because a lot of people won't be able to go to that.
Okay, all right.
All right, at this time, like I stated earlier, we've had a motion and a second. We've had discussion. I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor? Is anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item number 6 is appointment to the Water and Sewer Authority to fill the unexpired term of James Stevens, District 5.
Madam Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Stevens had originally notified us of, his intention to withdraw from the board. He thought he might have some conflicts of interest. I think after he discussed that some more, he had determined that he didn't think it was going to be. So he did ask that the board consider withdrawing his resignation.
I'd like to address that. We all know that we need Mr. Stevens on the water and sewer, there's no doubt. But I had gotten a candidate, someone that was a good one. And so, and I think they would probably understand the need for us to keep Mr. Stevens as well. So I do have somebody, because there's another position that comes up, and we're looking for somebody, and do have a good candidate that is willing to serve. But I would like to make a motion to rescind his resignation, Mr. Stevens, and he remain on the water and sewer board. We need his knowledge.
Right.
on
And I'll
that.
second that.
So we have a motion and a second to rescind Mr. James Stevens requested it off the board, but now to stay on the board. And is there any discussion? At this time, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor? Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so
Madam
much.
Chairman, the other thing I would say on that is we would encourage that candidate, because it is a good candidate, to attend the meetings if they, in that way, can kind of stay up to speed on what's going on in case there's...
And then I have a situation with someone that I've recommended that also thinks there may be a conflict.
Okay.
And if that is the case, then we can look. It's really good to be in a position where you've got...
Yeah, at least we got
somebody on the board. We've experienced just the opposite of that. Thank you so much. Okay, moving forward to our new business. Item number 1 is appointment to the Recreation Advisory Board to fill the unexpired term of Kay King from the Board of Education. Appointment term was 12/31/2019. And I do believe we received something from the school board.
We have, yes ma'am, this is the letter from Dr. Griffin. It says on January the 8th, Marywood County Board of Education agreed to move forward with Coach Tini to represent the school system. The letters confirm Ms. Tini would replace Kay King as their representative on the rep.
We have a motion to replace Ms. Kay King on the Board of Education with Coach Tini.
So moved.
So I have a motion, is there a second? Second. Okay, there's been a motion and a second to appoint Coach Tini as the coach of Greenville. And I understand they have won their regional championship for the second year in a row. So wonderful. All right, is there any other discussion on the motion? If not, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, the next is the appointment to the DFACS Board to fill the unexpired term of Ms. Josie Reeves, and that's District 1, that is in my district. I would like to make a motion that we table this. At this present time, I'm still seeking someone for that position. Second. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor of table? Is anyone opposed? Motion carries. Third item is appointment to the DFACS Board to fill the unexpired term of Mike Mills. That's District 3. The term ends June 30th, 2020.
That was mine, Madam Chair, and we have Mike Mills' letter of resignation, and I have talked to a couple of folks. I am not ready at this time to name a replacement, so I'm going to have to ask that we just postpone this till next time. Table to next time, we'll be fine.
So there's been a motion and a second to table the appointment for the unexpired term of Mike Mills in District 3. Is there any other discussion on this motion? If not, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor? Is anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item number 4, the timber ordinance first reading. Mr. Darren, could you address that? I'm sorry, is that you or is that with the...
Either way,
Susan?
Well, I can read the reading, then you can go into...
And I've got some comments on there. Well, I read it last night.
Okay.
This is ordinance number 2019-01. It's an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of Meriwether County, Georgia to adopt an amended Chapter 9, Article 7, timber harvesting procedure to establish uniform procedures and requirements for the harvesting of timber in unincorporated Meriwether County, Georgia, to repeal conflicting code provisions, uncodified ordinances, or portions thereof, to restate and reaffirm the Code of Ordinances of Meriwether County, Georgia as modified herein, to provide for severability, to establish an effective
Commissioners, this really follows the procedure that we had talked about previously, and it follows, state law, and puts in some provisions that we here in Meriwether County want to consider. And you should have a draft copy of that. And then Susan had sent me a copy yesterday afternoon, and I apologize, I didn't get to read that till last night, but there were a few things in the ordinance that I wanted to, point out. We have a typo in the first one. It says timer instead of timber. We'll get that squared away.
Makes sense.
And, and the rest of the first page is fine. It goes into the bond requirements, $5,000 bond. We can only really require one bond. And they have to complete a notice of harvester action form, have to submit that along with the bond. That is supposed to be done within, prior to entering, or as the state law says, in any event within 24 hours. And there are a few other things that, as I looked at this, and that I want us to talk about. Item number under C in section 9-152. And Susan and I will work on getting this squared away. It seems like there's a little bit of conflict there in that paragraph, because it says the surety bond shall not be valid for more than a year, and then it goes on to say a calendar year, and the bond may not be a calendar year. So we need to really change that probably to a one-year period. Section 953 goes into the notice that's required, and we talked about that. We want to know where they're planning on hauling within reason. We want to know the location of the track, the main points of ingress and egress. And under A1, I would suggest that it says a map area which identifies the location of the track to be harvested, and I'd like to add proposed travel route as to those trucks which will be traveling, because we need to know the route of where that needs to be. And then it goes on to say they have to tell us how they're going to harvest the timber, because that's important for ad valorem taxes, and in contact information, etc. And then from there, we go over to the next section, which says notice shall be effective. I think that section 9-127 doesn't exist. I think when it was recodified, I think that section maybe went away.
Where are you at now?
I'm on D.
Are we on 153? 153.
Top of page D.
And so I think the section 9-127, I'm not sure that exists. Susan would be able to check and see. And then I think there's just a couple of typos in line 3. It says Meriwether County, I would say designated agent and in compliance with the code section. And then on 9-154, line 3 at the end, it says permit, and the state law is pretty adamant about permits, so I wondered we might consider changing that to permission. And then it says describe below, and I don't think we technically describe that below, but we did tell them what we want. Item number 8.1 talks about graveling the drive, and we've clarified the width and the linear feet on that. I think we need to add something to that that says both paved and gravel roads, because right now they're not putting the gravel pad on the dirt roads, and they tear up the dirt road and track mud just like they do everything else.
We got to repair too.
Right. And back up on, and I'm sorry, on 9-154A, I think to comply with following temporary harvester driveway requirements, we probably need to add something there prior to removal of timber, because the permit, their notice allows them to go in and start cutting. But before they start hauling, we want these other things done. And so that's another issue that we have. Down in 9/154A1, there's also a reference to geotextile liner. We want to add that geotextile liner to our ordinance as well on all new drive entrances. And the reason we're looking at new drive entrances, if you already have a gravel drive and you put geotech fabric on it, it just rolls around on the gravel, between the layers of gravel. So we want to do it on all new drive entrances.
That includes paved and unpaved.
Paved and unpaved, yes, sir. And then, we need to add in there where it talks about, all temporary harvesting driveways shall be piped by the harvester. I want to say that's got to be approved by the county as to size of the pipe.
Would that be by Public Works?
Be by Public
So
Works.
does it need to say Public Works, or does it need to say
I
county?
think it just needs to say county, because
Okay.
in the event they were tied up and whatever, and the rest of us went out and did that, I'd like to have that ability, but in the procedure we use, we'll do Public Works.
All right.
That just gives us some more flexibility if they are tied up at the time. Okay, and then in 3B, it says schedule a requisite inspection in 72 hours pursuant to, as referenced in 9/153. I think we need to remove that. And go there. Other things that we need to add into the ordinance, we need to state the size and color of the warning signs coming in, because they'll write it on a piece of plywood and stick it out by the road. So we want it to be a minimum of 9 square feet, 3 by 3. We want it to be orange in color or reflective material. And
Orange with reflective, not or.
yes, orange with reflective. Something that, people are going to see when they come up. The geotech liners, again, we talked about that. We want that on all new drive cuts. And again, I've mentioned the pipe approved by Meriwether County prior to the timber removal. Gravel requirements are on dirt and paved roads. And one other provision we want to add, that the county roadway must be obtained in passable conditions for vehicular traffic at all times. Not just the timber truck traffic, but people that live there need to be able to get out too. And maybe a note that road or mud or dirt or debris in the county road has to be removed in the streets today. That way they don't go off and leave that there. And I'll get with Susan and we'll get that in. But those are some of the things that as I looked at last night, I thought we needed to add to our ordinance.
To the board and to Darren, I also read over this, and I saw some things that I felt needed to be addressed. So I've given a copy to my suggestion to the board members so they too can look at it. I also want to submit this to you and put in the record, these are some of my recommendations and some of the things that I felt. I think some of the things you've already stated is in some of my things, but once again, just observations that I have noticed. And since we're still in the drafting part of this, we can look at that and go from there. I do have a question for you, Mr. Jay, and I just want to get some clarification. In a hypothetical situation, let's say we've got a logger, and it is noticed that the piping is not right, so that's a violation, going into the area. So let's also say they have the logging truck on the road, and it's just sitting there, shouldn't be on the road. And let's say the permit's not up there. So those 3 different violations.
Sure.
And in that time span, we go in and we address it and we let them know. They have 24 hours to correct it. So in a penalty form, are they penalized for each 3, or that's just one violation? How is that looked at? And let's say they go and correct only one of those items.
Right. Well, first thing we would do if they have that many violations, we would stop work or stop right there. Say, okay, get these things squared away, or you're not going to be able to continue. And then if they are not cooperative, we write a citation. Or if they are a multiple offender, if they've done this before, we'll write them a citation we could write them a citation for each of the violations and take those to court. And my hope would be to be very cooperative, come in. But we will not let them, for example, if they go out and they fix one of the items, but don't fix the other two, then we would not release the stop work order until they address all of those.
All right, so you do the stop work order, but then are they still penalized, or do they pay a fee for the negligence, or is it just a stop work order?
Well, the fee that they pay for their negligence, when you issue a stop work order, that's the best way to get their attention. Because all of a sudden, they're shut down and not working. Now, if they're a repeat offender, I mean, if they made a mistake, didn't understand, that's one thing. Now, if they fail to get a permit, we're going to fine them anyway. We're going to cite them. And we cite them, through our codes department. And if it was a minor thing that they didn't, then we would shut them down until they get it fixed. But if it's a repeat violation and people are just negligent in it, we'll give them a citation in addition to shutting them down. And then they'll have a penalty, I think it's up to $500, penalty for each violation. And in the scenario that you described, there would be 3 violations there.
So that's $1,500.
$1,500. If the court chooses to fine, we can't just
That's
say.
not our fine, that's
hey,
actually fined through the courts.
That's right, has to be fined through the courts as part of the code violation.
And that's only after we have done a citation.
Right.
So, okay.
Yeah, and I'm gonna meet, once this is approved, we'll meet with all the timber people, we'll ask them to come and meet with me. We'll go over this. Majority of them are not gonna have any issues whatsoever because they do this already and they're in compliance and they're really good. You're gonna have a few that doesn't like it, and those are probably the ones that get those citations and stop work orders.
Just wanted some clarity.
Sure.
So at this time, we do make a motion.
I think we just have to have the second bill.
We just have to have a second reading, so.
And if you take a look at these, this is so regulated by state law that, but we'll take a look.
I understand the regulations, but I also know that our jargon and our terminology can have a little bit more meat to it. Not to take anything away from what the state is saying, but once again, we too have some language in there that's, I think, a little bit more clear. So I have no actual language. Make it easy for folks to understand. Mud is mud. So moving on, so no, other than the fact that we've read this,
We have the, first reading, the second reading will be at your next meeting, and then you can do adoption at that court process.
Thank you. All right, moving on to our next item is road closure ordinance. Susan?
That's ordinance number 2019-02. This one is an ordinance amending the Code of Ordinances of Meriwether County, Georgia to adopt a new Chapter 9, Article 8, Road Abandonment and Closure, in order to establish a uniform procedure by which to consider requests to abandon county roads, repeal conflicting code provisions, uncodified ordinances or portions thereof, state and reaffirm the Code of Ordinances of Meriwether County, Georgia, as modified herein, to provide for severability, to establish an effective date for other purposes.
And Madam Chair and Commissioners, in reviewing this last night, very, very similar to what we mentioned when we first started talking about the procedures. I did have a couple typos I wanted to, Susan and I will look at, but really other than that, it's pretty consistent. Now, state law outlines the first under 9-155. The state law sets aside how you should proceed for the abandonment of a public road. And it includes notices, advertising, public hearings, etc. Now, I know there's people who would say, well, we shouldn't abandon any roads, but the state law does set aside a procedure, so I think we have to consider that if there is a request. Now, the thing with that was you have to determine whether or not it continues to serve a substantial public purpose or removal is in the best interest of the county. And so to do that, we try to set aside some criteria for the board to consider when that happens. So, what we wanted to do was say, in addition to meeting the state law, we want to post notification signs at prominent locations in the area to provide notice to citizens who not only live on that road, but those also that travel along the proposed route. Because sometimes you may not live on the road, but you may drive it every day. So we want to be sure that those signs are placed in prominent places where people can see them. Now, on the sign, it needs to indicate that it's proposed for closure and the date, time, and location of the public hearing. And what we'll have to do probably with the sign is get our signs, and we'll have to have a removable section, or we can use maybe a white masking tape and rewrite it, because we want to use these. You know, probably won't have a lot of requests, but if we do, we want to be able to reuse the signs. Now, if abandoned, and this is, I think it's very important, we want to make it clear in the ordinance, if someone comes in and wants to abandon the road, that they can't come back the next year and say, hey, we want to reopen it now, we got something else we want to do. And the issue here is, if it shall not be reopened as a public road or considered for reopening, unless the road's been upgraded to meet all Marietta County road standards in effect time, and we're going to be reworking some of those road standards here very soon. The point is, we don't want to have it abandoned and then just bring a road that was abandoned originally back into the same conditions. Also, the party requesting the abandonment is to be responsible for all of the costs, surveys, plats, deeds, any other legal documents to complete the process. And they also need to be responsible for the advertising cost, included but not limited to public notice and signage. And as I mentioned earlier, we wanted to add criteria where the board can, have some measuring sticks and measuring criteria to be able to make that determination. So, in addition to compliance with state law, we will also consider the following: do all the property owners who live on the road agree to the closure? That's very important. Does the road continue to serve a substantial public purpose, or is the closure otherwise in the best interest of the county? Does the closure create a situation where any property owner other than the requested party is limited to only one means of ingress and egress? And I think that's very, very important, because if I choose to live on the end of the road and I want it closed, that's one thing, but if I'm cutting off someone else from multiple access points, that's probably not a good idea, because with the weather and things and storms and all we have today, they may find themselves with no way out. So I think it's always important to have at least two means of ingress and egress. Also, is it used as a shorter route? Is closure of the road going to create a hardship on the traveling public? Does closure of the roadway impact the delivery of emergency services? And does the cost of maintaining it exceed the dollars of funding we receive from GDOT, LMIG, and other sources? And one of the things I thought about when we were writing this, because I know we've seen this before, is there family cemeteries that are there? Because I've seen family cemeteries that had to go and get an easement to be able to access their family cemeteries. So that needs to be considered. And then I want to request input from the Sheriff's Office, all of our public safety departments, E911, Public Works, and consider any comments received from those departments in making a decision. And that will be comments from them. If they have a concern, that will be passed on to you guys on the workup sheet that's done. And we're not micromanagers there. I want to know what they say and what their issues are, and that's why we want to ask them the questions. Abandonment with deeded right-of-way. If it is abandoned with deeded right-of-way, I want to change would need to will establish a fair market value and receive compensation. A fair market value means what a willing buyer and a willing seller would pay. It's not a dollar grabbed out of the sky. We would have to determine that fair market value and then receive just compensation for that. And Susan, I think we'd also probably have to let bids on that too and receive bids as well. So if someone wants to buy a 20-foot strip, they could go in provide if they want it. When you abandon with prescriptive right-of-way, we really don't own any right-of-way. We just simply have a right of ingress and egress on it. So if we abandon the road with prescriptive right-of-way, it's a matter of, it came from the adjoining property owners. Technically, they already own it anyway, and it would pass down with title of their property, and the county would need to execute a quick claim deed. Of course, any of this action, if the road is abandoned, the requesting party is going to be responsible for all of the legal documents for the conveyance of the property. So, that is it. I'll be happy to answer any questions that the board has concerning that, but we tried to follow state law, but we also tried to give you guys a series of questions and pertinent information and additional signage and everything that we need to do to be able to be sure that the public knows this is being requested, and then points for consideration by the board. So, we have to answer any questions.
Commissioners have any questions or comments?
That covers it very well.
This has been, we've been working on this for quite some time, so thank you for providing us with this information. So,
And this follows to a T what we had talked to you guys about before. And so, again, first reading and second reading will be next meeting, and then you can adopt it at that point. And then we have, in addition to this, we'll have forms, we'll have request forms, just like we do with timber. I think we put those in there. I think we developed a whole package on that as to how the application would go.
And I'll bring some suggestions on some additional information that we should put on the form as well.
Okay. Sounds good.
A lot of counties now are putting emails on the forms, so there's another way to reach out.
Reach out. Okay.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Our next item is the,
Discussion of the green wall.
yeah, the discussion of the green wall.
We,
And from Mr. Gabriel.
yes, ma'am. Chair Commissioners, Commissioner Bray and I have been talking about trying to, make some improvements to the baseball field in Greenville. And it's a field that was used in the past for, I guess, the high school. I guess it was a high school field at one time. The field has gone into a state of disrepair, and the fencing and everything is in good shape. But I think Bill Caldwell shot the grades on it the other day, and Bill, there was a 6-foot drop from home plate to right field. 6 feet.
That's been the issue the whole time, is the...
Right. And so, that, there's also some voids out there, so obviously there's some brush or something. So we were trying to figure out how to get it open for play. And obviously that's going to be a task in itself. And what we thought we might do is kind of work on that over time with dropping some loads of dirt and see if we can solve that long term. But in order to go ahead and utilize that field in the short term, what we wanted to do is to pull the field, not remove the fencing. That's 310, I don't remember what city field it is, but it's a 310-foot field, which is the same as Old Fulton County Stadium. So it's a good-sized field. What we were looking to do is to pull that field in to 220 feet. 220 feet allows for play. Manchester, for example, has a 200-foot field, and they play up to 12. So we'd have another 20 feet on that. That's pretty much the standard. Instead of removing all that fencing around the outside, because at some point in time we may be able to fill the hole and raise the grade up, we'd have to adjust the fence because it's only going to be about 2 feet. Can we fill it from 6 feet? You can just, an athlete like Bill could just go along in the field and catch up and jump over it. But, so we'll have some work to do there. But what we talked about doing was bringing in, they have some removable fencing that can be brought in, and that's what we'd like to consider, is bringing in some removable fencing. It would serve us really long-term as well, because even if we restored the field at some point to the 310, if you had, say 9 and 10-year-olds who want to play on it, you can put that fencing back up.
That's used frequently.
It is, and redo it. So we'd like to ask the board's consideration of allowing us to look. We got some pricing in the $2,000 or so.
I haven't seen it, but you didn't mention it.
And I got some that's somewhere here. I found my phone, about $2,000, maybe a little bit more. But we'd like to ask for consideration of allowing us to be able to try to move forward. And then, Bill, I think you and Tyrell talked about we can get the field leveled out pretty good within that 220-foot section. Not going to be perfect, but we can make it playable.
I would like to make some comment. The day that we went down to visit the field, we also had Dr. Dixon and Mayor Glover with us. Pardon me?
Dr. Griffin.
You know what? I just cannot get this man out of my mind. It's always Dr. Dixon, Dr. Griffin. I am so sorry. But nevertheless, the field is in disrepair. But that field, I feel, is very important to the county, as that Greenville is the county seat, and it is in the middle of the county. And also, not only that, at the present time, Dr. Griffin stated that the school is currently using the field in Long Oak, which is the county field, because the school system do not have a baseball field to play on. So I'm hoping that in time and long term that we all will be able to work together to bring the field back to store that we all would be able to use it, the county, the city, and also the schools. But as he said, in short term, I feel like right now for the recreation, for the children on this side of Meriwether County, that it is important that we do bring some type of recreation to this area. I understand last summer we did play some in our Luthers field, which is good, which that field also could use some repairs or some improvement. But I feel like this is a county project and that we should be making improvements to all areas, not just one area. And so that all the citizens of Meriwether County can utilize the recreation program.
I did check my text, and it is, the estimated cost is somewhere around $2,000.
Madam Chair, I would like to look at, and I agree with what Commissioner Bray says. My concern, and takes me back to my old job, putting some dirt on that field is not going to hurt if we're trying to level, but if that thing continues to sink, I would strongly advise us not digging in that ground. There's no telling what has been buried under there, and it could become a major money pit depending on what's under there.
Yeah, we would have to explore that very cautiously. You're exactly right. That's why I'm pulling it back in to the 220, because the majority of the problem lies between that 220 and 310 area. And that's where and I think we've been down and looked at it before. And that's a problem. That's why I feel like bringing it back in is the way to go. And that way you can kind of cut off a lot of that problem area.
Madam Chair, I know that would take a lot of dirt to fill that in, but at the point, if we feel like that's what we want to do, can't we put it out there that we won't fill dirt? I mean, we got a couple of contractors around here that lots of times they're looking for a place to put dirt, and we get them to bring it there, and if we think we can perceive that one day, they might go ahead and be bringing it.
Clean.
And, yeah, clean builder, I mean, that's what you don't want, but I mean.
Tyrell, we mentioned that, that's one of the reasons of leaving that gap between the fencing and not moving the other. We bring dirt out there, exactly.
Putting it there.
And it'll take time to do it, and, we'll spread it, see how it falls, see if there's more, we just need to do that, but.
And here's my concern. You put the dirt out there and it continues to sink, there is a problem.
There's a problem. And it has some void there, and water's getting down in there. I mean, that's pretty obvious, but if we pull back into 220, I think we'll be good, and as Vice Chairman suggested, we bring in dirt, or if people have dirt they want to dump, bring it in.
They're just looking for a place to put it.
So anyway, that would be our recommendation.
Is this where we're voting on something, or?
What we need to do is just authorization to do the fencing, purchase the fencing, and that'll be necessary. And again, we're in the neighborhood, $2,000.
And you want to pull back, so we're going to pull back to 220 feet?
Yes, pull it back to 220 feet.
So I need a motion that we purchase the fencing for the ball field in Greenville, and, I'm sorry, there's another thing. Pull back to 20 feet.
Can I get a motion on that? Madam Chair, I motion that we purchase the $2,000 temporary fencing. You want to pull back to 10?
Pull back.
Pull back to the 220 feet.
A second.
All right, there's been a motion second that we go ahead and purchase the fencing and do the pullback on the field. Is there any other discussion? At this time, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor? Does anyone oppose? Motion carries. Thank you so much. Moving on is a report from our financial director, Mr. Bill.
Manager, you've got two reports in front of you. One is the bank balances. General fund, robust balance, and there is collecting a lot of property taxes. We are working diligently with HUMA and FEMA to get the payment on the flood damage that occurred a couple of years ago. And got a couple more hoops to jump through to get that, hopefully get that done for some of the lot before the end of the fiscal year. As you'll notice, the fire bond district balance at 301, you got a note payment to make at the end of the month. It's $245,000, so you got a little cushion there. That's a good thing. But what I'm really excited about, well, not really excited, but pleased with, was the SPLOST fund balance of 1,393. That's what you paid note payments out of. That next note payment is due on 6/1. It's $1,604,000. So you can do the math. We just got to collect about $200,000 in the next 4 months. And we get to about 150, 160. That's great. That's really good news. There was some concern a couple years ago that was weren't going to collect that money, pay that note off. So in fact, everybody Glover's asked me about once a month how we do it. So we're going to be good this month in June to pay that note. And if the receipts continue as they have been the last 6 or 8 months, we'll have plenty of money to make that last note payment June of 2020. On the property tax end report, collections are at 90.21, and the Department of Revenue, they're likely to have 95% collected before you submit the next digest, which is about $285,000 or $71,000 a month for the next 4 months. I think that's doable. I think they'll probably achieve that. Usually we're about 93, 94% in June of the year, so it looks like we're running just a little bit ahead this year. Unless you've got any questions, that's all I have.
Well, it's nice to see what the hotel motel tax, is that a little bit more, or?
It's basically about, I think it's actually a little bit less. We just,
Really?
we need to make a transfer over to the chamber to get rid of that money.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just one comment. I thought that collection for the property tax looks pretty good. I mean, I know we got a certain percentage to go, but did you say that we're a little bit above where we?
I think we're a little bit ahead of where we were last
That's good.
year. And I can also add that when I do this spreadsheet once a month, every year, all the way back to 2009, collected a little bit in the month of January. Pretty unusual. Every bit that they collect, that percent of collections goes up and that outstanding balance goes down.
Thank you. At this time, a report from our county administrator. Mr. Gatt.
Yes, ma'am. Appreciate that. I'll try to go through quick. Incredibly busy year so far, and we don't sit and let that be. Want to let you guys know we finally got our scrap tire grant money in. We've asked for $8,500. they thought that was too much. I think we ended up with about $11,000 worth of cost, and we submitted for an amendment, and so we got $11,000 some dollars. So that's good. And hearing from Ms. Jane about the upcoming event, we're going to go ahead and reapply for the next application. So I'll get with Ms. Jane on that. Lake Meriwether Trail, been working on that. I just wanted to mention to you guys some signage, and I think I may have some pictures of it somewhere, but I'll show those to you later. But we have some new signage out in front of the park. We have a new information little kiosk thing that we're doing. We're doing the trails. Most of the trails signage is up. We're going to be dealing with the ADA trail, and I think we got another work session. I didn't make the meeting last night, but I think Mr. Buster, y'all talked about that. We got another work session coming. We probably cover that later in the meeting. Cove Road Culvert. I know that's been, we received a lot of calls on that. We did have a mandatory pre-bid meeting. We had 6 bidders. Those bids are scheduled to open Friday, 2 o'clock. If there's not anything quirky with the bids, I'd like to go ahead and call you guys next week, and I'd like for us to proceed on that, to get that done as soon as possible. The LMIG for 2018, we've talked with Piedmont Paving. I think we're already clipping some shoulders. They're ready to get started back. The weather's had them on hold. The LMIG for 2019 was sent out yesterday, the day before yesterday, and had some interest, a lot of interest in that. So we'll be getting those bids back in, and I think that's going to be March the 15th. We'll have those bids in. So this spring and summer, we're going to have probably about 25 miles of roads under construction. We're going to have, River Cove, Cove Road, hopefully it'll be done by then. We do have an issue at River Cove Road that we're kind of waiting to see what the pricing on Cove Road is, and depending on where that is, we talked about a design that we could do it in-house, and we may have to do that. We did have a timber site where we had some road damage, and it was on a section of road that we had just resurfaced, I think, last year, year before last. So we did a stop work order with them, and told the guys to tell them they were not to continue when they come and saw me about this issue. And it's not like they chipped off a little bit of the edge. They tore up all kinds of stuff. And they did so because they didn't want to take a 20-foot drive over to connect into an approved access point that they had. Had they gone over there, they wouldn't have caused any road damage. But they decided, no, we're going to shortcut it, go out, come out at an angle, try to turn this way, which means they're turning the road. So they broke the road on both sides. So I called the guy in and I said, you going to pay for the road? He said, let me know what that cost is, and I will take care of it. And failing to do so, we'll call on his bond to do that. Now, what I've asked is...
bond do that?
His bond will do that. It will do enough to do that. And we're not going to let him transfer his bond anywhere else to it. It doesn't matter. Resolve.
Mr. Gaines, I'm going to cut you off, but if his bond is only what, 5,000?
Yes, ma'am.
So if it costs more than that?
Costs more than that, we're going to pursue him to pay that too. But it'll be under, we've already got some quotes on it, it'll be under the 5,000. But what I've done with that is, the rest of that road is already under contract with Piedmont Paving for resurfacing this year. I've asked them to go out and look at a price and give me a quote on that while they're out working on the other road. They're going to be just down the street. I want them to fix this one. I want it to go back in, not as just a sawed out patch, but I'd like it to look like the rest of the road as clearly as we can. And Ms. Shirley, before we start calling on the bond, we'll know what that cost is going to be, and if we have to pursue more, we'll pursue more. But we're going to get that taken care of.
Well, they're already cutting back on that on something else.
What they're
cut the sides.
Yeah, I think they've been clipping that.
We actually could, sure.
Oh, you all clipped the shoulders, okay.
And so I wanted these people, so I let them go back to work after they did that because they were almost finished, and I really wanted to get them off the road. And that way we can assess the total damage, because I didn't want them to stop, let's fix one piece and do another. So we will be, staying on top of that, we will be pursuing it, and they are going to pay for the road repair. So, just an example, if they'd have done the right thing, they wouldn't have had a problem. I want us to schedule very soon some grand openings, fire station. The Luton station is, for all intents and purposes, done. I think we're waiting on getting some technology there and some phone service. Once we get that, we'll be ready to, do that. And we'd like to kind of stage one where we can have a grand opening. I know Lone Oak's had their soft opening, but I'd like for the county to have one as well. So we'll schedule both of those. We met yesterday, I think it was, with the civil engineer on the fire station sites. The site down near the Cove is turning out to be a very, very good site. It's really good. The one at Woodbury is also good. We've looked at ways that we can access, because it already has an existing access off of state route. And so because it's existing, we're really not going to have to do a whole lot with that. So that's a big cost savings. So we're moving both of those forward. Landfill monitoring, we've received reports on that. Everything is fine. County Line Church Road, they're getting ready to replace that bridge. I'm going to find out what the date and times are on that, because I'm going to get questions.
The signs are up, detour signs, so I haven't been out there to see.
They're working.
They are?
Okay, they're working now. Okay, good. And also, I'm going to get some information about a roundabout that we talked about. Just a couple things to note. Kia was down on Soda Branches Road doing an advertisement shot, and they had several shots, I think, of Meriwether County.
It was the Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah, Super Bowl commercial. So it was good. Also, in another popular show here, the Zombie Walking Dead in the series season, it was a mid-season opening that came back on last Sunday. They had the covered bridge very prominently displayed there. They had one major scene that they did there. So just a note, beautiful county, there's a lot of things going on. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Report from our county attorney.
Commissioners.
I'm sorry. I did it. All right, I'm trying to hurry up, put the meeting on. All right, report from, report from the county commissioners, Commissioner Bray.
First, I would like to say congratulations to the Greenville Lady Patriots for winning the 2018 4A Regional Championship. Also, I would like to comment on Saturday, me and also Commissioner Hines visit they had a Stop the Violence County Life Vision at the courthouse, which I feel like was very successful. It was a great number of people there. And this was in memory of a loved one that has been violently killed here in Meriwether County. And so we had some of the relatives there expressing their opinion and just talking. But it was a great program. And also, but one of their challenges was for the county and also the faith group to get involved and create more recreational centers or facilities for not just young children, but for young adults to help to keep them out of the street and to give them something constructive to do. So I feel like the vision was great and had a good time. Very emotional.
That's it. All right, there's a couple things I want to bring up. Our census is coming up, and there's going to be a workshop in several parts of the state, but probably the closest one for us is in Macon. It's going to be March the 7th. It's going to be at the Middle Georgia Regional Commission building. And once again, they're going to be talking about how important it is for us to get everyone involved for the 2020 census. We were able to attend, I think Commissioner McCoy was there, I was there, I'm not sure if Commissioner Bray was there, when ACCG did a presentation on the upcoming census and how it affects your county. I think we need to make sure we educate our citizens on the importance of the census. This really determines so many avenues of resource and support that you get for your county on the number of people you have. And we need to make sure everybody's counted. We've been hearing that our numbers are dropping in Meriwether County, and that may not be true. And so we need to make sure that this number is right. So if anyone's interested in attending this is free, this is no cost. It is for everyone, it's not just for elected officials, but I think they're pushing out a campaign on getting more people involved and understanding. I think we've already met our requirements that the state asked us to do. Is that correct? All right. So just getting ready for the 2020 census. Once again, Commissioner Bragg talked about the candlelight vigil that was at the courthouse step on this past Saturday. She's absolutely correct. It was very emotional. But gun violence is not limited to any community. It can happen anywhere. No community is exempt. It was heartbreaking to know that people are still dealing with this. But once again, as a community, I think there are some things that maybe we can do. And if anyone feel prone to be a part of this, we'll give you the contact person who put it together. And they were there just to bring awareness, but they also was there to talk about solutions. It was not just to say we've been victim of this, but they were wanting to say, how can we move forward? How can we make sure another family does not have to experience this type of pain? So I give kudos to them on that. The other thing, Mr. Gay, and to this board, I've got some information that I've been reading about the Forestry Protection Act, the FLPA grant, and it indicates in our district about the timber and the cost and everything. And I would like for us at some point to get someone here from the Department of Revenue to kind of come down and explain to us how this is affecting our county. I have some material and I'll pass it to the other commissioners, but I think it's having a big effect on Meriwether County, and I really think if we can get someone from the Department of Revenue to kind of come in and explain to us how this affects our county, since we are the fourth largest timber county in the state of Georgia.
Okay.
My next thing is, once again, I do want to emphasize how important it is for us to move forward and Public Works to hire these individuals that we need. We've specified a drainage team and other teams, but we do not need to push this down the road. We need to go ahead, I think, and get as many people employed as we can, because as soon as the weather breaks, we should be ready to go out and start doing the work on that. And the last thing I want to bring to the attention, I had the opportunity yesterday to go by the Dollar General, the one that's just opened up in Gay. I was surprised to find it out on social media. You know, apparently that's how everybody communicates now, but I found out it is a soft opening that they have, so they are planning a ribbon cutting ceremony. So I've asked the manager, and I will reach out to their district manager to let us know that we can be a part of that. That's a great opportunity for our county to have another store that will meet the needs of the people in the area. So that's it for me. Commissioner Hadley?
All right, just a couple of things this morning. One, I'm glad to hear that we got the money for the scrap tire grant. And just at our Keep Meriwether Beautiful meeting last week, we were wondering if we would do it at our next cleanup. But one thing we do need to decide, will we collect tires just the day of the cleanup, or will we try to do a week or whatever? If we could just have that information, because we'll meet again in March. If we could have it by our March meeting, then we can give it to all of our members and start getting whatever we need to do to get the word out. So, like I said, we may have too much going on for them to try to do it for us, whatever we can do.
I really think, Terrell, the having it open for the week, didn't that, we collected quite a bit last time with that, right?
We did. We had some guys come in like on the weekend, serve our regular stuff. Some guys came in on the weekend and collected tires. And it takes a lot of tires to get that trail up, so we put it like on a Saturday or something.
I think last time we stretched it over, like maybe 3 Saturdays, the day of the event, following Saturday, following Saturday.
Okay.
And I would suggest that we do that again, and then that way, like if somebody was to bring it in during the week, which I imagine you don't get too many, they already have staffing there. So it only takes these other times, and we will apply for reimbursement of the staffing costs there on the grant. So we'll make that application with the understanding that we'll run it those basically 3
Now, let's see, if
Saturdays.
we can know before, let's see, I think we meet March the 11th, is what I have, isn't that right, James? And so if we know before then, that would be good to help get that information out. So
We'll put that together and
that's the cleanup, yeah. And I just want to encourage my fellow commissioners maybe to try to get a team together to pick up trash for that Saturday, whether it's out where you live or just an area that you frequent. And we need people to help man the dumpsters. We do them in 2-hour increments, because if we have people manning the dumpsters, we go a long way to keeping people from just piling up tires or dumping things that do not need to be there, or just trying to just keep it flowing like it needs to be. So you could pick up litter for an hour or two, or maybe do a couple of hours at a dumpster. It would just be a big help. We have a lot of good volunteers, but if we get the same number of dumpsters this year as we were fortunate to get at our last cleanup, we need more people. So, like I said, if we could help do that, that would be great. You mentioned about the roundabout. I had called you about, GDOT had mentioned to us a couple months ago about possibility of putting a roundabout at Judson Bullitt and Roosevelt Highway. That has been a dangerous intersection for a long time. And we don't have a time frame of when they're thinking about doing that, but we had obviously a couple of really near misses Monday morning. I believe that was Monday, that was so foggy and all, and I think we came really close, and maybe even our SRO officer was not easily seen because the fog was so thick, and there was concern for their safety as well. So I'm just anxious to know what their plan is. It is a good sight distance there, but for whatever reason, we have just had so many accidents there. But when you got all that school traffic going in there early in the morning, when people are going down the road, they're going fast, they're just not thinking, but I really like to know what their thoughts are, and I mean, what kind of time frame we're thinking about.
Usually they plan it with they'll have engineering one year, they'll have such and such, and then funding comes available, they'll let it. So I will see where that is on their STIP program, and I'll get that information out.
Because even if they decided today, it's still going to be a while before it's done. And so I don't know if there's anything we do. We've begged for red light there for years, and they will not. Oh, yeah. They said the sight line's too good. That's what they say, but they came down after the last fatality and looked at it, but again, they just said it does not meet the criteria. And they put up larger stop signs. Well, that wasn't the problem. It's the folks coming down on the road that's the problem, not the ones that are trying to cross it. So.
Do they have flashing school signs?
Yes, they're flashing school signs there, and the officer always parks their vehicle down a little bit where the road divides, and their flashing lights really help coming from Warm Springs. If you're coming in the other direction, I mean, you can see them down there, but not as well, but they certainly can't have two there. And then, like I said, that officer that's having to stand out there, boy, they're taking their life in their own hands standing out there. So I just appreciate whatever information we can get.
We'll find out and where that stands on the schedule.
Okay. And you mentioned about the census. I think I saw something online where they were taking applications for workers already too. So I'll try to pull that back up.
We have some little report on that.
Do you? Okay. All right. Like I said, there may be something, again, that's a part-time job that somebody might be helpful for someone to. I'd just like to give just a little bit of report from Warm Springs. There's the Merchants Association has a Sweetheart promo going on this month. If you come down and shop, you can register to win just a really nice basket for accommodations at the bed and breakfast, and food and gifts and that kind of thing. Just something trying to get people to come in and stay a little while and visit. And one of the local restaurants there has had an event yesterday and having one tomorrow night for Valentine's too. And it's just good. It's just right here at home, things to do. So like I said, anytime you get the opportunity to support any of those local things, it's good. So, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner McCall?
On briefly, I think, Commissioner Hadley mentioned to you about Blake's, and of course, our hearts go out to that family, but that visitation is tonight at the Giving Funeral Home, starting at 6 to 8, and the funeral will be tomorrow at Luthersville Baptist at 1 p.m., just for general information. The other thing I've been asked to do is, now we're back up to Habitat Kids again. They'll be coming back in March, and I'm not sure where the project is this time, and a number of organizations will be providing food for these kids. And the Post will be doing a breakfast March the 12th for the Habitat Kids. I did want to mention several things about Lake Meriwether, and I think Mr. Theron got us started there. We did meet again last night to kind of look at loose ends. What I've asked is, we meet now, let's get everything on this grant tied up in a nice, neat package before we even begin to look at anything else. And we want to be complete, have to be complete by April the 30th with everything we need to do in order to comply with the grant. Volunteers worked the last Saturday in January, and also we worked the first Saturday in February. Most of the trail has been marked. The property lines have been pretty well demarked, and we've had additional clearing going on at the far end. We're within about an hour or so of having all our signs posted. We have one additional stream there to cross, which I think we're going to get that done, and Bill's going to be focused on that. And then we'll be putting up a temporary end of the trail marker there, and so that's looking pretty good. The other thing we've got to get done is our ADA trail has got to be finished and laid out and demarked, so we'll have it in time for the by April 30th anyway. And the other thing here is we're working on, and we're going to try to get this thing with the dump station all organized and completed, and so that is another project that's going on there. With that being said, we've got enough things on our plate. We have a thing on our agenda that always says future projects, and I've asked of them just to ignore the future projects for the short term so we can get some of this other stuff done. I guess the road complaints that are coming in, they're coming in, Tyrell, in bushels. And most of them, I've got them redirected to call Public Works and make mention, and I haven't checked to see if all that's flowing, but I need to see that that is going. Obviously, the rains have been extremely detrimental to a number of roads in my area. So I hear this constantly. Even when I get out and ride the roads, it's usually a mixture. Some of the areas that I'm called about, and I go out and look, I'm not that so concerned. Then I drive to another area that's not been reported, and then I become very concerned. So it's that type thing that's going on. And any notes that I have left, I'll get them on down to you, Tyrell. Something else I was going to ask, and I don't know, I think we've done this in the past, but we are really, it looks like posturing for a lot of growth over the northeast side of the county. I'm seeing new three-phase power lines that's being run. There's a new substation going in. I see new house starts going on even on my road. I was just wondering if we could maybe on a quarterly basis or monthly may be too much, just to give us some idea of the house starts. Sure. Give us some idea of the new digs, whether it's a business or whatever that might be coming in. Because it looks like these people are not posturing the way they're doing unless there's something on the way. And we even made mention over in Coweta, this new concrete plant, it looks like it's going to be going in there in Harrelson. So they're not putting that there for no reason. So
yeah, I think the starts are up. I've been some of the subdivisions up in the north part. There are a lot of houses. There's a lot of people that are planning houses, and
that's why I think our census, our population is going up.
I think so too. I think by the time we get to those numbers, I think it is definitely going to be rising. I met with some folks the other day that had already built 7 or 8 houses, and they told me they were working on one when I was out there. They were pre-sold. It's sold now, and it's probably half finished. He said that people are coming out, and it's a better bargain for them than some of our surrounding locations, they're coming in and buying. And so, yes, sir, we're gonna.
I think my first read on that population increase, the gray hairs are gonna be increasing, we can see them out there. But I don't know who else might be coming in, but a lot of retired folks.
I think it's a lot of retired, I agree.
Us gray-haired folks don't think we're great, but a couple people with us.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, but they're building nice homes.
There's some nice
You know?
ones going in.
Yeah, and those are good, I mean, they, I guess I'm talking, myself included in that, but you don't demand a lot of services, you don't impact the schools.
We have no need for them.
Have no need for services, the only thing you need is medical service and power.
But those are good things, but if you're talking about long-term and sustainable growth for the county, you have to be diverse. You cannot sustain a county just on a certain age group. So if you don't have people moving in that will support your school system, support other things, then that's not a good thing either. We're pleased to have both, but we've got to make sure we're attracting a very diverse group of people, because the 50-year-old, the gray hair, may give you 20 years or 25 years of longevity in your county, but a 30-year-old gives you 50 years.
Well, also, I mentioned the schools, my generation doesn't impact the schools, but you really need, in order to impact the community, you need a younger base. You need kids that are active in sports and parents that are active with them, so.
I see, it has been a long meeting for those who've been sitting out, but unfortunately, we do have a lot to cover at our meetings, so I apologize for those who may not be able to stay the length of it. But at this time, we'll go on to the report from our county attorney.
Just that we have need for an executive session to discuss legal, personnel, and real estate matters.
Thank you. At this time, we're in the section of public comments. So anyone would like to address the board, feel free to come up to the mic, sign your name, and I think you also require an address on that. And at this time, anyone like to address the board, feel free to come up. No public comments at this time.
May I make a comment? I wanted to let you know the photograph that Miss Susan Holby presented to us is hanging up in the lobby.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. All right, since there's no need for public comment, at this time I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session to talk about litigation, personnel, and real estate.
So moved.
Okay, there's been a motion and second. All in favor, we're going into executive session at 10:58.